we are organizing this year's EASA in Kragujevac, and the theme is Reality, as is this weekend, which is part actually of a little bit broader thing, which is called Reality Introduction Period. But this is the most interactive part as well. If you're not already a part of the brainstorm group, there is a brainstorm group on Facebook. Maybe Luca can post a link or someone. So basically, if you're a bit more interested into this topic, or you would like to participate somehow or become part of all of this, you can as well join that group and continue this conversation, which we have started here, there. Okay, EASA Serbia posted the link, so you can join if you feel like it. And this period is like really important for us because this is like the culmination of this, you know, pre-event investigation of the theme of reality. And today we are starting the lectures. Actually, yesterday you had the opportunity to hear from us a bit, you know, about the theme from our stand of view, and we had some really nice and interesting discussions and conversations, and as well a really nice workshop this morning. So if you're interested in talking a bit more or exploring, join us tomorrow morning. Well, morning loosely, it's almost noon at 11:30. You can as well see it in the timetable. And I'm really looking forward to listening to our lecturers today. One of them is currently here as well. And to see their point of view at this theme. All of them are architects actually, but they're mostly focused on research or some social issues, and to see like through their work or through their aspects, like how do they brush off to the theme of reality. Marvi saying ciao, Francesco. Be free to use the chat box. That is totally fine, or turn on your camera. I'm reading the chat, it's really cute. That's more or less it. The first one to be doing the lecture is Iva. I'll introduce her at 5, just for the people who will join there, not to repeat myself. I mean, the rules as usual are, if you want to ask a question or do a comment, write it in the chat box. Preferably maybe at the end of the lecture, so maybe, you know, if you ask something and then it becomes answered, it will be a bit messy. And I'll call you out if you're feeling shy, or just write the question. I'll read it for you. But it's always nicer like to see the face, not that I mind looking at my own all the time, but that's okay. And I hope that we will have some, I don't know, interesting conversations in the end. And if we run out of time from 8, we're having a bit, you know, more freestyle part of the event. It's the bar, so we can continue talking there and drinking and being a bit less formal. Not that we're very formal here anyhow. So I don't know, that's more or less it. Does anybody wants to say something or give a comment on a previous day, share their expectations, say hi to a friend, thank their mom for bringing them here?
I think maybe you can do like a very brief explanation of EASA, since I see
you see some new names?
Yeah,
okay.
Some new names, and I maybe they are like a bit shy to say I want to like, I don't know what EASA is, so maybe just
okay. Yeah. So European Architecture Students Assembly, it's basically a network of architecture students, or not even just students, like a bunch of us here are not students anymore, just like enthusiastic people. And in these times when Corona took over, like this network part and platform has been really proven, and it's became more of a network in these 2 years, year and a half. Usually there is this annual big summer school-like event, which lasts for 2 weeks. Maybe that is what you know it for. But now we're a bit on the inside and seeing what are the parts of it besides those of us getting together. Some new people. Hi, people. Oh, hello, Iva.
Ciao.
Nice to meet you. Ciao. We'll introduce you in like 8 minutes. Just, you know, now we are chit-chatting and talking about the event itself. Nice to have you here. Where was I? Maybe some of the teammates want to help out.
You were explaining what is EASA, basically.
I was explaining what it is.
That might join here. Maybe we can have a sum up of like yesterday. It was an evening session. The whole event was actually planned to be during the day, like having workshops, and during the evening to have the lectures. Yesterday we had basically an introduction talking about the theme of reality, like some really conversation starters, let's say, something that will trigger a bit the discussions afterwards and hopefully the debates and everything. So yeah, it was really nice because people, like, we had so much interest and a lot of people joined. So I hope this number will reach sometime also today. And there were a lot of like, it was like fire started. So because everybody wanted to comment and it was really nice, and I hope this spirit will continue also today. So it depends, of course, on the lecturers, like if they want to be interrupted or if they want to be more like a discussion and stuff, or they want really to be strictly about presenting something and okay, questions afterwards, just let me finish. So it depends on that. Yeah, maybe we can say something about today. In the morning we had like the first workshop. Marina, you can say as well.
No, but maybe to say just about this event that like reality introduction period, it is actually some sort of substitute for international tutor meeting. It's a meeting that is happening annually at EASA, but only for, let's say, 4 or 5 last years. And the goal of the event is bringing this topic closer, as Tamara said, and also somehow connecting people over the topic. So in the future, maybe some collaborations would happen, you know, and also like explaining structure of this year's event. That was also the goal, sort of.
So we gather here to get a bit inspired and to investigate the team and maybe to inspire you to do something this, you know, this summer, or join us. I don't know, do a workshop or a gathering, or just wander with us, you know, what are the realities of the architecture. And I really hope that we will all get like super inspired today and have some nice conversations, or even getting, I don't know, confused. Confused is always good. I think it's a nice starting point. So that is basically the goal of this whole thingy, and I don't know. Soon we will introduce you properly, Iva, because it's not yet 5.
Yeah, but before introducing you, we can also introduce ourselves to you. You probably talked to, I don't know, Tamara, Elena. The rest of the team is from my right side, Boban, Luka, okay, Shayla is not here and Anna is not here, Elena, Tamara, and me. So
Luka is EASA Serbia, right? So we are all under his control.
Yeah.
If you're not being nice, he will mute you.
I will share also something that was started also today during the workshop. We are kind of like, we pass on brainstorming in the Miro board about some realities that we face, the realities that we can impact, and other that we are interested or we can impact or we need to question. So I will share this link. You can add freely. It's basically that there's no rule. You just add things and associate. It's like a mapping, but it can be really like open for everybody to contribute. Yeah, so today, just a recap, we had like a speed dating session in the morning, followed by this Miro board. But the most of the time was actually spent on the speed dating because we wanted to talk, I guess, more with each other. So And I think it was really nice. We were talking about the responsibility we have as professionals, and the impact we can have, and since we are the one that we are also contributing in creating these realities around us. So yeah, that's basically it. And also we started kind of like doing the thing with the challenges that we have and the opportunities that come from these challenges. So this is an ongoing conversation, of course, but
it's a nice intro to the next lecture, I think.
Yeah, and tomorrow we will continue with another part of the workshop. We will maybe continue on this one, like have a brief like recap of the Miro board, and then try to see more about the structure of the workshops maybe this year also. So whoever is interested in brainstorming and working with us, you can join also tomorrow from the same time, 11:30.
Yes, tomorrow 11:30. Or whenever you manage. I mean, we'll definitely be there till 2, but 11:30 is nice as well. We can have breakfast together, not a problem. Okay, it's 16:58. Shall I wait 2 more minutes or just start? Let's wait.
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I hope that more people are going to join.
Yeah, they'll join in.
Yeah, but even yesterday it was exactly at the 7 p.m. that people joined. So I didn't to sit for a minute or two.
Marina, do you have any comment maybe from today or yesterday or anybody else actually?
Yeah, no, just to add also that somehow we separated the day into this day session and evening session basically, and in this day session we had many discussions, and in this evening session it's going to be a bigger accent on lectures. That's why we are having this quite spontaneous introduction, and you know, the focus is going to be in this evening on what Iva has to say, what other lecturers have to say, and so on. So basically, I don't know, today's day was very, very productive in my opinion. Like we were very inspired, like all of us. We talked afterwards, like when we ended the meeting, we had a very like positive exchange, and I don't know, it's somehow we are helping each other to understand this topic much better, and to see actually like in what direction do we all want to go. And in the end, like when all of this finishes, because we are recording all sessions, we are going to make transcripts of things that were said and explained, shared, so everyone will be able to catch up on parts where you couldn't attend to. So I think that's going to be a very nice recapitulation in the end, and it's going to help us a lot to build the upcoming event. And yeah, just like to go further, and not always to, you know, go back and repeat things in circle, but also to have something that we can always come back to. Okay, we know that now, let's see what's next. So yeah, I don't know, we are very, very happy.
Will the recordings be available to watch and listen? Maybe the lectures, if we reach the agreement with the lecturers, first of all. I don't think that discussions will be able for everyone, you know, to listen to. I don't think that people are comfortable with that.
The thing is that we wanted the workshops to be a more free zone, so everybody can express themselves. Like, so we didn't want to put a lot of pressure. But I think that, yeah, the evening session yesterday was also recorded, and we're recording also this one. I hope everybody is fine with that. But it will be available. We are just wanting to see what is the best way to archive these. If you have any suggestions, like, or any experience, you can send us a message or something. YouTube.
Jesus.
Okay, so we can wait maybe 5 more minutes, because I see that lots of people started to get in. Okay, not a lot of, but few. So maybe just to give it 5 more minutes. So I don't know. And maybe we can also ask if there are some people that arrived in the last 10 minutes that have no idea about what the EASA is. We said it already once.
Just Google it. We can put the link.
Put the link to EASA network.
Yeah, or just, yeah, that's also good.
I have a website. EASA network. Wikipedia, yes. About.
And the website will be updated, of course, soon.
Yes, nice. Thank you, Luca. Great too. Nice. I kind of like
EASA.
Which has aviation.
What is the real?
Which one came first? Is that the how you determine if something's real? What came first? Okay. Well, if we stay at this number, it may be like a really nice discussion and conversation time in the end, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah. Let's start. Okay.
So
the first. What have you said, Luca? Continue.
I just wanted to tell Iva that I enabled her to share screens. So when she's ready.
Okay, our first lecturer today is Iva Čukić. Hi, Iva. She's there with us. She's one of the founders, if not the main founder, of Ministry of Space for Ministarstvo Prostora. They founded in 2011 in Belgrade. And it is sort of a do tank which deals with social activists and socially engaged artists, architects, and citizens. So very much about reclaiming the city and the spaces of commoning, which is as well like the title of the lecture, Reclaiming and Commoning the City. So they've been operating on in our region, not just in Belgrade, but I think the whole like Western Balkans region. I don't know if you went further.
Yeah.
A bit nice. So they're dealing with the right to the city and are engaged in these democratic processes and engaging the citizens and the architects and the artists, reclaiming the city back. Lots about the urban development and resource management, and it's like I think the most common topics with you are this democratization of dealing with public spaces and participatory planning of the city and public spaces, and as well this right to how do you say pravo na stanovanje, right to
housing.
To housing. So I was like, how to translate this? Would you add something else as well?
Well, I mean, I will do that through the presentation, but thank you so much. Yeah, we are covering a lot of stuff.
So that would be Eva, and I'm really looking forward to hear more.
Thank you, Tamara.
Shall we like maybe chit chat a bit more, like 5 more minutes, till people come? I think that's more or less it.
However you want.
So at the end, if you have any questions, just write your name and write the question or your name and comment.
If you have a question,
in the end, Luca or I will call you. Luca.
Yeah, so I will just set an example in the chat how to announce that you have a question or a comment. So basically, you just write your name, then comma, comment, or question, and you just send it to the chat, and I will note it. And at the end, we can. And
establish some I don't know, weird way of agreeing.
Yeah. So
we and supporting each other. Like with I think +1 in the chat. So if that happens, don't be confused. It just means that somebody
agrees, or
with
if
you.
you see people manically waving their hands, it means that they agree with something.
You're not crazy. They're just like enthusiastic about what you're talking about. Just for people who are not fluent in EASA, I guess.
That would be it. I think we should be fine now.
Yeah. Iva, the floor is yours.
Oh, thank you. Great. Let's start by sharing the screen. Okay, you see this, right?
Yes.
Okay, now it works. Super. Thank you for having me, for the introduction, for inviting me to be here with you. The last time I was, and the only time actually I was at the EASA was in 2008. And I could say that, I mean, it's much better when you see in person and do crazy stuff than online, but I guess this year and the last year made us switch to Zoom and onlining, constant onlining. Well, I'm, as Tamara said, I am a co-founder of Ministry of Space Collective. I was trained as an architect, and then I did my PhD in urban planning. I switched in one moment, and I was very happy with my decision, even though at the faculty, you know, they don't like urban planners a lot. And the reason why I switched to urban planning and completely changed the direction of my career was getting to know the reality of our practice in Serbia, which was unbelievably unjust to common people. And because you are recording, I cannot share the particular situation with you. But maybe one day when we meet, I will tell you in detail.
Maybe we stop recording?
Yeah, I'm not sure. I don't even know also people. Because I quit my job and I said to myself, I will never do this kind of practice, architectural practice anymore. And I will employ all my knowledge and skills to help people and to create just city. And I don't know if I think I'm heading in that direction. Hopefully you will see and then you can judge. So the Ministry of Space, as Tamara said, our focus are urban commons and the practices of commoning in some specific fields, such as the public property management spaces and models of governance, such as like civil-public partnership, public-public partnership. Ignoring the fact that the private sector exists, put it like that. I mean, no, not ignoring the sector, but trying to figure out the ways how things cannot serve only for profit and like to be more socially acceptable. I don't know the term, what word I need right now. And then the participation in decision making and urban and spatial planning and housing. But in housing, we have a specific kind of field of interest, which is models for affordable housing. And Anna and Mark will later today speak much more about those models, so I won't even like touch upon it now. We also have a residency program for European activists where they can come to Belgrade and like do nothing for 2 weeks until 1 month. It's just like, you know, people are like completely burned out, so it's completely fine to come and just have rakia and do nothing. But you know, when we announced that call a few months, year and a half ago, everybody thought that it's kind of, you know, something fake because everything is paid for you. You can stay from 2 weeks to 1 month. You can do nothing. And, you know, the collective is called Ministry of Space. Yeah, right. So, you know, we had an email like, are you for real? I mean, just come, you know, everything is anyhow paid. And that's how we also spread our network. And we do a lot of grassroots support in Belgrade, Serbia also, and in the neighboring countries. And we do that through practice, research, and education. So we do a lot of publishing, a lot of policy papers. We have studies, yearly studies on different things and programs. So this is how we operate more or less. The discourse that is for us very important and what we are trying kind of to achieve is this, the concept of commons. I don't know if you're familiar with that. It's basically the third approach between the state and market dichotomy. So it means that basically the philosophy is the practices of governing the resources by its community. So it can be the space that is governed by the resource. Wikipedia is common, so the things that are horizontally structured, and the communities setting the rules on how it's going to be governed. And we recently published the book Urban Commons in the XU region. So you can find it, the PDF on our website, but I can also, for those who are interested, I can send the hard copies. So it's like half of the book is theoretical framework, but very useful to learn about the whole concept. And then there are 15 case studies, which I think are very, very interesting to get to learn more. And these are some authors that if you want to read about, and I guess some of you already know, where to look for the concept. So how we started? We started by addressing the fact that there is a lot of neglected and abandoned property, mostly public property in the cities of Serbia, with no policy or regulation how they can be managed besides the market. So if the market is not interested into the property, they're just decaying. So we decided kind of to tackle the issue and to act and to try to activate hands-on activation of public spaces. But now, because of the reasons of not having the administration doing the catastrophe, we sometimes didn't know, is it public or private? So there were some troubles. So the first thing that there were two things in parallel that we tried to kind of occupy or like liberate, whatever terms you like to use, are the street gallery and Inex film. And I will also later explain about the Inex film. Street gallery, it's basically a street in the city center of Belgrade. It's 200 meters away from the National Assembly. And here were the windows for announcing the movies of Cinema Kozara, which is here behind and was burned in 2012. But it doesn't matter, it was privatized in 2007. Now there is some kind of fancy club over there. I don't know which, I forgot the name. So when you go out, you see the movies, and that's basically the exit of the cinema. It was used as an illegal parking for many years. And we decided in one moment that maybe we should make a proposal how public space can be designed in different way. But the negotiations with the municipality of Stari Grad, central municipality, who was in charge back then for the space, took 2 years in order to convince them to give us this space. And it was just a wall. And we kind of created, we drafted a program conception, financial proposal. I did the architectural design, so everything was there. And like the level of distrust was unbelievable. You know, you go there to negotiate with them, and they're like, "But who are you actually? Are you kind of the, you know, some partisan organization or some, you know, oppositional party who wants to get additional votes before the elections on the city level? Or are you planning to open a bar and then earn the money?" Because like this non-profit idea is completely detached from our authorities and the people who are governing the city. And I was about to kind of stop putting myself into these super long conversations. And then my colleague Mika said, "Okay, let's give it one more try. Let's go and talk with the guy." And the guy was, and I guess he's still part of the Socialist Party who was running in the 90s, you know. And there is kind of a momentum with the Socialist Party where they, and also in the Serbian society, where we tried always to compete with Croatia. You know, we have to be better than them, even now in this situation with the pandemic. So we went there, and he lied that there is one gallery like this in Zagreb. And the guy said, "One in Zagreb? We will have 50. And then he signed the contract, you know, and that's how we got this space. After 2 years, it was so easy. So you just like do something, invent something, and then it will work. So we managed to sign a temporary contract for 3 years. And in 2000, I think we prolonged it for 2 years, and then the city took over all the spaces from municipality. So we stayed out of the contract, but the gallery is still functioning, and a Ministry of Culture is supporting us. So it's kind of gray zone. We have programs every 2 weeks. So openings of the exhibition, but also different kind of side programs from gerontological choir, for example, their rehearsals, to children's workshops for kids, concerts, and it's always on Friday at 8, every second or every third Friday. And it doesn't matter if it's snow or rain or whatever. And at the beginning, it was very difficult to explain to people, you know, when kind of the rain starts on Friday, and they're like, are you canceling or delaying the exhibition? And I'm like, no. I mean, it's open space, you know, and get used to the weather. I mean, you will survive anyhow. So when it's snowing or similar kind of weather conditions, then we can prepare maybe rakia, you know, warm rakia, so that there's kind of things that people enjoy as well. And by being in that space for now 8 years, 9 years, we also managed to go out from the space. So we did these murals. We try to kind of design also the space outside, so to give it some kind of vibe. And but what we are trying with now you know who is writing to me. What we tried to do with the program was to use the potential of public space and to address the topics that we found very important, so that are socially and politically engaged. So to start a discussion about our reality. And sometimes it was super provoking, but it never happened to us that somebody broke the windows. What I'm also proud of is the fact that we managed to change the name of the street. So it's named by Goran Čavajda, this guy here. He was a drummer of Električni Orgasm rock band, and also some other bands that I'm not sure. Yeah, you're like, they were popular in the beginning of the 90s, late 80s. And for me, what is the additional value is that he was kind of anti-war hero during the 90s. So we made a proposal to the city of Belgrade, and they couldn't say no to us. And also it was super emotional text, you know, like I guess it made everyone cry. I mean, when I go back to the text, I'm like, Jesus, what was wrong with us? You know, where these emotions are coming from. The space that we were activating parallelly to this was Inex Film. It's 1,500 square meters in Karaburma neighborhood. It's 4 kilometers away from the city center of Belgrade. It's kind of neighborhood in the very bad condition. It's low class, working class, also high level of youth delinquency. So it's kind of really a problematic neighborhood without any kind of cultural facility or any space for social interactions. So, and this was the old movie company, actually the company for movie production, that was abandoned since the privatization process in 2000s. And we came one morning to see the space. It was Sunday, March 2010. And I invited a lot of our colleagues, architects, thinking that they would be very interested in kind of cleaning and preparing this space for something else. And our colleagues, their reaction was so discouraging that they were like, oh my God, you know, we need like 2 million euros to renovate this building. Yeah, we do, but we don't have it, you know. I mean, the only money I have that back then was the money pocket money that my mom gives to me. So we don't have financial resources. We have, you know, some kind of social capital and our hands and legs, and let's move. And next time, and it were like, I think 60 to 70 people on this initial meeting. And when we called for the action of cleaning, 5 of us came, and 0 architects. So this was how we started renovating and refurbishing the building. Every 2 weeks, we were calling for this kind of work actions in the building of Inex. And then every other 2 weeks, we were doing different kind of social events. So from cooking together to inviting friends from circus to do some kind of performances, concerts, and so on. And in one moment, we achieved our goal to have people coming every week because they forgot when is cleaning and when is partying. So by confusing them, we had a critical mass to finish the building. And it was done in 6 months. So we managed to clean it, to bring furniture, to put windows, doors, electricity, water. I mean, I can also tell you a lot about my electrician who was a victim of all our crazy ideas, maybe later. And we managed to create spaces for like common spaces, but also different studios and kind of ateliers for those who were in need. So also it had a kindergarten for Roma kids and for the kids whose parents could not afford or are on the waiting list for like ever. So there was a kindergarten. We also had a gallery. We also had our kitchen, also a space to sleep and stay over. A huge garden with different booths that could be prepared. There were also several weddings in the space, so it was really kind of a lot of different stuff. And it was open for 5 years. And then the detailed plan for that location was adopted. So the guy who was the owner asked people to leave the space. And that's where I'm coming to the point that we were squatting the private property, which was not the idea of this building, because we didn't have the right information. Because the Catastrophe of Belgrade it doesn't have the update. So the fact, how he learned about us was, I don't know if you remember, the Museum of Contemporary Art was closed for like 10 years, you know. So they were searching for a place where they can do the exhibition. So they come to us and they said, and it was at the beginning of like in the first 3 months of Phoenix Film. And they came and they were like, we would like to do kind of a special event in the ground floor of the building. Also, the students of architecture were involved. Misha Mladenovic, the professor from our faculty, was also part of it, and so on and so forth. And for us, it was also very useful because they had resources, for example, to buy a really big sliding door, to put the heating and stuff like that. So it was kind of a win-win partnership. But they brought a huge logo of Museum of Contemporary Art to put it on the main facade. So when the owner of the building was like driving around the building, he saw the logo of Museum of Contemporary Art, and he entered the building and he saw like security over there. You know, he was like, what the fuck is going on here? What is happening? And like, I'm the owner, I want to enter. And they were like, yeah, you're not the owner. We know the owners, and there's some young kids. And then we were like, oh, Jesus, we are on the private property now. I mean, there's a serious consequences of doing that. So, okay, let's call the guy and let's see what we can do with him, how to negotiate. And basically, he didn't care about it. You know, he was happy to have some people over there. We are paying for the bills. But yeah, the neighborhood is kind of happy to have us there, so it was fine. But the deal was that when the plan comes, we need to leave, which also merged with the situation that artists who were using the first floor and the punkers who were using the ground floor were in the constant clashes, and the atmosphere was really bad at the final months of INEX. But what it brought was several other spaces that were occupied by the people from INEX. So Kvaka Catch 22, Kvaka 22, is a space that was occupied by the people on the first floor, Okretnica, people from the ground floor, and then we started with Zvezda, and then Magazine, and then other spaces. And why I put this photo here is just to show you what was our idea of governing the space. It was horizontality. So everyone who is using the space or is interested to be part of it are coming to the meeting, and that's the place where we are making decisions. So there is no boss, but the meeting is the place where all the main decisions are done, and we are all equally responsible for the space. And back then it was utopia. Now it functions in different spaces, but you know, it was at the beginning when people come, they are like, who is the boss here? You know, I don't want to speak with, you know, Borania, like, you know, that kind of stuff. Like, I just want to important people, like only leaders. And parallel to all of that, we did this kind of guerrilla actions in front of the cinemas. Cinemas the written of return ili bioskopi povratak otpisanih. It's a partisan movie when partisans are kind of fighting against Nazis and they win at the end. So the cinemas, Belgrade had 14 cinemas until 2007, all under the company called Belgrade Film. And they were all privatized in 2007 and closed. So in one day, Belgrade stayed without all the cinemas. These cinemas were built during the socialist period, so they are really valuable real estate that were built in the center of the city or in the central parts of the municipalities outside of the city center, on the outskirts. So they were decaying for many years, and what we decided to do was to put attention on what is happening with all these cinemas. So we were using the context that we find around the building and then create the action. We never present our face, that's why it was under a different name. And we were just sending pictures and a short statement to media. And yeah, we kind of tried to use humor instead of these tough, difficult, words like privatization, corruption, and so on, because people just cannot follow anymore that narrative, you know, so you don't get their attention. So here in front of Balkan, there was a part of the street that should remind on this kind of Hollywood Boulevard, Star Boulevard. So it has the name, it had the name of several actors and directors. And then we came one night and added these 14 stars with the names of the cinema. And then in front of the 20th of October, this is these slides, there was this danas, which means today, that remained, you know, for many years. So we came one morning and had no shows come yesterday. And this picture, the last one, was, I think, I mean, I'm not sure if they're using it still now, the press, but they were using it every time when they wanted to comment about terrible situation in culture, you know, so about the budget or like all the bad stuff that are happening. So it's always like the symbol of the cultural scene. Then with Kozara, we made after the fire, we made the funeral. We also, I don't have that pictures. We also had protests of superheroes. So we all dressed up as a superheroes like Batman, Superman, He-Man, and others, and had a protest in front of the cinemas, like we don't have where to play. And then this marble plate again on Balkan, which stayed there for 3 years. I guess nobody read the text for 3 years, and then somebody figured out something is wrong with this text, and they remove it from there. But what we achieved was that now media was really covering all the aspects of what was happening with the privatization of the cinemas and what was happening with the shareholders of Belgrade Film Company. So Belgrade Film was a social property, which was a model in the socialist Yugoslavia, where the workers are owners and they have their shares in the company. So they were cheated by all this privatization and they lost their money. So they were also fighting against the guy who privatized the cinemas. So there was like huge thing behind it. And eventually the guy ended up in jail, and he even reached to us from jail on our Facebook. I will come back later to this. And then the final action was this putting the crosses on the closing of the Film Fest Festival, where we kind of got unbelievable public attention because like everybody was there, you know, and then like Gordon Kitić took a photo in front of his favorite cinema, Sergei Trifunin, all these kind of public figures, and it was everywhere, you know, Glory, Story, whatever are the names of these magazines, it was like everywhere. For me, this is one of the most morbid things we did, but it was super, the most efficient one. And then Zvezda came, and then we decided to enter Zvezda. First, we planned and tried in February 2014. Police came and threw us out, to make a long story short. And then in October 2014, we entered with 200 people. And it was, I mean, it was clear that we will stay there, and we prepared this action for 6 months, meeting the lawyers, meeting all the media representatives, caring about how they will broadcast about the whole event. We try to convince them to make the story which will explain what is the problem with the privatization, what is the problem with the cultural scene, what is the problem with the workers who are losing their money, and like all this complex stuff, instead of putting the news like young junkies enter the space, you know, which we thought would happen. And it immediately, I don't know if some of you been to Zvezda, so it was immediately kind of, you know, 24/7 protection because it's a city center. We were already evicted by police a few months before, but the problem was that we didn't know each other very well. We who decided to occupy it was Ministry of Space, and also students from drama faculty and other people, and the fights on how we see this space functioning started literally after 1 hour. And I won't go now into details, but there is a great documentary movie called Okupirani bioskop Zvezda that follows us from the very beginning until we all almost kill each other, and it shows really a great this kind of collective dynamic of collective decision making, which I really believe, and I still foster it, but in this case it was just impossible. Zvezda became one of the kind of very important cultural spaces and statements even outside of Serbia. So Alen Badiou gave his presentations there. Former president of Greece, Tsipras, came there to give his media press release. Also, Michel Gondry, he's a French director, did this animation, which we then use for crowdfunding. And then on the right, you can see the call we had with the owner who was in prison in that moment. So he sent a message to us via Facebook to Bioskopi Povratak Otpisanih, and we were completely shocked, you know, like what the fuck is this, you know, what to say to this guy, you know, I mean, from jail, seriously, you can write Facebook messages from jail. So we started to communicate with him. And then we were like, I think he suggested to have a Skype to see what we want, you know, but it's easier to know what you want when you don't face your enemy like that, but you're having kind of a broader idea. But when the guy is asking you what you want, you're like, we don't know, you know, like these memes, you know, you want something, but you don't know exactly how to tell him, to transfer your message. So he asked us, do you want to buy it? And we're like, no. Would you like to rent it? No. What do you want? We're like, we want to liberate it. You know, it doesn't mean anything. So we were kind of not prepared for all this conversation. Anyhow, we also, as a Ministry of Space, we left the space after a few months. So yeah, I'm not sure in which phase it is now, but I know it's operating during the summer. And then in 2018, we thought it might be interesting to squat a military property, which is, I mean, from the beginning, we knew that it's a super bad idea, but let's try. So the army, the Ministry of Defense has billions of square meters that are neglected. And they are selling the property on the market price, which is super high because the locations are really great. In order to collect money for building the affordable housing for their members. That's basically the idea. So the whole process is kind of having not progressing because of many different factors. But we wanted to say that kind of, you know, putting a use for some kind of temporary uses might work. No. And we did this kind of cooking and different events for 1 weekend, and the military came literally the day after and throw us off it. So we are on the streets. There is a fence between us and the empty building, and they're sending riots on police to protect the empty building from, I mean, this is, you know, completely absurd. And that was the moment when I'm receiving a call, and there is a guy says, hey, I'm just watching you on TV. This is amazing what you're doing. I'm completely in love. I'm super supportive towards your actions. I have a boat, which I would like to give to you. And I'm like, yeah, oh, Jesus, oh, this is some kind of lunatic. You know, you always have this kind of people. And they're like, yeah, okay, which boat? And then he says, even crazier thing, Tito's boat. Like, yeah, okay. So before Tito, it also belonged to Kralj Alexander, you know, so the King Alexander. So basically, I mean, who are you? So anyhow, since we didn't have nothing to lose, we went to meet the guy, and he had the boat, and he gave that boat to the group of people from this space who wanted to have a new facility for social activities. And that boat was active, I think, for until this Corona time, maybe, yeah, end of 2019 on Sava River. And I guess this part, a lot of you know, with Don't Let Belgrade Drown and Dajmo Beograd. This was the initiative we started in 2014 to oppose Belgrade Waterfront project. And now the Don't Let Belgrade Drown became a political platform and a movement and a party, I guess. And half of the members of Ministry of Space became the leaders of Don't Let Belgrade Drown, and half of us stayed on Ministry of Space. So we started opposing Belgrade Waterfront by analyzing all the illegal aspects of the project. So the changes of the general plan, the new legislation, the financial aspects, the contract, all this super boring stuff, and explaining them to public. And, you know, people cannot follow. I mean, that's boring, complex, and I don't get it, you know? And I mean, what I see, it's like very nice, fancy neighborhood. And you don't want to speak about aesthetic also. So what we learned in our action was that every time we do something like this was in the city hall, we entered with all this equipment for beach, and we were playing there for 2 hours. On their session, the media is talking about that. The public is informed, you know. And when we say, you know, the general plan has 50 pages that are changed in order to blah, blah, like, yeah, whatever, you know, not interested. So we started combining this bureaucratic approach and also this kind of actions. So we did a lot of conferences, lectures, panel discussions. Also, this picture shows and how we did this analysis of the document. So we invite people, and then we have like 10 groups to 10 people, and we do the analysis of every single aspect. And then we, of course, we were banned from every media. So we started printing our own newspaper and sharing it on the street. And that was the moment where when some of our friends were arrested because they were sharing the newspaper, which doesn't make any sense, you know, when you put it like that. So we immediately, when we announced it on our Facebook, we immediately had like, I think, 10,000 followers. So basically, I mean, we were banned from the media, but every time they were speaking about us, our reach was growing, you know, it was increasing, because they're pointing out, you know, when we showed the duck, you know, it was kind of, they were saying, I mean, nowadays, now he's a president. Back then, he was a prime minister. You know, he was in the parliament saying, you know, these people with the duck in front. We didn't exist in the media with this duck. And the moment when we introduced the duck was the moment when the special law on expropriation of property in Belgrade Waterfront was introduced. So we asked our friends to make this duck as a symbol of future resistance, which means that when everything goes under the water, it will remain floating. It also in Serbian slang means fraud. And it also in Serbian slang means male reproductive organ. So it was kind of interesting to play with all these meanings. And this picture, it was made at 7 a.m. In front of the National Parliament. So due to the deadline, very short deadline, our friends could not make the hole inside of this duck. So this duck had literally 100 tons. It was like impossible to move it. it was still fresh. So if you try to touch it, your fingers are entering inside and you're yellow. And the plan was even more stupid. So, there is a kind of a few policemen that are in front. The duck is arriving. A friend of ours suggests that me and another female friend should go and kind of try to catch the police attention, like by flirting and asking where are some streets in Belgrade, and then they will pass this super huge yellow duck behind our back to the parliament. Of course, the plan didn't work. It was clear, and then in one moment, the police officers were like, yeah, but you have to remove this duck. And we are like, yeah, we would like, but we don't know how. It's super heavy. And there was a moment when we all together start think like how we are going to do this. I mean, we also want to remove it because we want that duck with us, but it's like mission impossible. So it was kind of, police having a human scale for a second. So it was, the duck united us. And then I guess, this was the first protest when the contract was signed and when the, now he's a minister of finance, but back then he was a mayor of Belgrade, block the view from Geozavod, where they were signing the contract with these trams in order to, so the investor could not see us over there, and he also could not understand us, so the investor thought that we are cheating, and the tram stops because of the electricity. That was the format, So we made our own tram, and then we were just like blocking his way everywhere he would go. We also had like recorded the sound, like the text of the law. I don't know how to translate it. And like it was recorded, and then we were following him everywhere. Like he could listen what would happen to him because of all the things that he done illegally, of course. And yeah, we basically we were everywhere. So we were on the this yeah. When I see this photos, I'm like completely, I cannot believe what was happening to us. There was a moment when almost the duck was arrested, but she was arrested in one point in 2016. We also managed to wrap the whole area with these illegal tapes. It says the yellow tape says illegal. Then change the plates that show the distance of Belgrade waterfront into Belgrade waterfront, and so on and so forth. And then in 2016, the part of area was demolished by night, during the night by 30 masked men with bulldozers, and it's still, the case is not solved. All the people who were, actually the majority of people who were the city representatives, the authorities, they are now on the minister seats. So no responsibility whatsoever for this thing. And the duck was arrested in this moment. We never found it again. So it was like impossible to me. I mean, we had a call like, please track our duck, and people were sending like the videos of the minivan who is taking a duck around the city, but we couldn't find the final location. So we decided to order one that is 8 meters tall from China. And now we have actually the initiative has that one. And basically the demolition, the night demolition triggered these protests that then we organized for the next 2 years, almost like super frequently. I don't even remember, like sometimes every 2 weeks, sometimes monthly. The first one gathered around 5,000 people. And we knew that we cannot do that by ourselves. We were like super small group. So we created this call for people who would like to help, to donate money, to take any kind of responsibilities that is needed for the protests. And those of us who know the case also know that we were attacked a lot as being foreign funded, and Soros supported and CIA and blah, blah. So what we were doing, we were every month, we were sending to the prime minister, nowadays the president, a monthly report of how we are spending money, from whom we are using initials, from whom we are getting it. Just like for the sake of transparency, which he never mentioned, neither him, neither the guy who is the director of Informer. And this is the new duck, the one that is 8 meters tall. So the protest grew. I don't know if some of you have been. They managed to gather around 25 to 30,000 people on the streets of Belgrade. And in 2017-18, it was clear for us that that's the moment where you should create the political alternative and try to manage things from inside to enter institutions. So we split, and now we will see what will happen next year on the city elections. What we continue to do as a Ministry of Space, so this whole thing with Belgrade waterfront, basically, and our work, I think it really politicized the sphere of urban planning, and the people are now reacting very frequently on different development projects in the neighborhoods. They're contacting us, reaching us for different things. So we created this kind of website, which is called Vodič. It's kind of a guideline through urban planning, where you have all the explanations, what each plan is, how they are related, what is the process of participation in urban planning. And then you have this dictionary also, which shows every single thing that you should know and you don't, because you don't understand the plan when you saw it during the public inquiry. And finally, there is Primedbe part. It's like objections. It's a generator to like it's a tool that generates your objection and send it to the secretary for urban planning. We also do this kind of workshops with people. This is a neighborhood of, this is on Sava, block 45, and then this is Zvezdara. You know, we do these kind of things when we gather people in a circle to show them how big the structure will be, because it's very difficult to explain to those who don't understand our discipline. And then we do, literally, we teach them how to follow and how to participate in the whole process. And Zvezdara, this neighborhood, they managed to protect the green area and the forest. So the plan was canceled, which is really a huge thing. And it happened a year and a half ago. We were also involved in Košutnjak. This is the city forest. That is under threat to be cut in order to build 500,000 of square meters of housing and commercial spaces. So we did a campaign collecting objections from people and then sending it to the secretary, and like the whole process, which was super annoying, because now due to the pandemic, they invented a complete new regulation on participation, which is also against the law, but not to go into details. And finally, there are two great things that we are doing. So now that we are doing the alternative plan, general urban plan for Belgrade for the next 20 years. So now is the moment when they should draft and until the end of the year adopt the new general plan for the period of 2021 to 2041. So we decided to create our own document, and we engaged really a lot of people into this process. We have, I think, 7 working groups. Each working group works on a particular topic, such as mobility, affordable housing, greenery, infrastructure, decentralization of city development, and it's kind of a mix of the activist, grassroots initiatives and experts in each field. So it's really a combination of like experience that people have, knowledge, and we'll see the results. We will publish them, I guess, in March, April. And now we have these conversations on what can be done, also on Zoom online. And another thing is that we will celebrate 10 years of our existence this year, and probably, hopefully, have our own house for Ministry of Space, which would also be an event space and space for others to join us and work with us. So you will be super welcome to be part of it. We are now just looking for a perfect space. Thank you.
Thank you.
Ooh. Amazing.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, basically we have like 10 minutes now. I guess maybe we can do 15. cut a bit into Francesco's time. I don't know. Does anybody have any questions or comments, or would like to start some short discussion?
I would just like to state that, like, the places that you mentioned at the beginning of the lecture, like Inex Film, and also there was this like picture of Slavica, Slavica Cinema. I grew up on Karaburma, and those were the places that were like basically so abandoned that were quite popular, you know, for junkies, for literal junkies, not the type of junkies that the media proposes, but and I remember like for Inex Cinema, there was this like truth or dare game, like who like if you get to be dared, you have to go inside and, you know, roam around the space without you know, for like 5 minutes or so. It was that scary. It was like the scariest place like in my micro area. But yeah, also Bioskop Slavica, I remember my mom told me a lot of stories about it, but I never got to see it, even though I saw it almost every day, because like my school was quite close to it. But yeah.
Slavica was also part of Belgrade Film, and it was also closed when the whole company was sold. And yeah, we kind of wanted to organize an event there, but we couldn't. I mean, there was a family that lived there. I don't remember right now, but some people like occupied it, and then I don't know what happened later. But we did kind of posters around everywhere around the neighborhood. Vratit će se Slavica. Slavica will be back. Yeah.
And also, like, last comment, but this is a bit off topic. You mentioned at one point that Michel Gondry did an animation for and he's a friend.
He is a friend of a friend. Yeah.
I'm jealous. It's like he's one of my favorite directors. So
yeah, no, he. I mean, nobody believed that there was of ours met him on the festival somewhere in Europe. And she was like, yeah, let's try, let's ask him, you know, I mean, what can be the worst thing that happened? He can say no, you know, nothing else. So like, okay, let's try. And I mean, what I learned through all these activities is, if you ask people, they really want to, you know, they want to be part of these things, you know, they want to do something which they find meaningful and to be part of it. So, I mean, you are kind of feeling super stupid to ask them, because it's not like the usual suspects from your kind of community, but that's also how you're spreading your social capital, which is basically the only thing you have.
That's basically how EASA functions. So
exactly.
We just asked them to come here and do a lecture. Yes.
Yeah, and still it's like around 60 people have been following your lecture, and still to this point, it's amazing how like this community functions unofficially. This is like a very, you know, not official, the opposite of official gather.
Yeah.
As you said, we have our arms and legs and will to do stuff, and we're not afraid to hear no, so just go and ask and make things happen.
Yeah, especially in this pandemic thing, like we really lack this kind of, let's say, motivation to do stuff and go stuff. And I think you really made up for this with all of these interesting stories. Like in how, like, I really like the fact that you really try to deal with things with humor and like maybe some sarcasm, which is like so much the key, or like the banality of having like a duck and it's so genius in a way, and like things like that can really trigger people.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it's also it is helpful for you as well, you know, like a self-care moment, because if we don't use humor, I'm not sure that I would be probably like crazy, you know, I would get crazy until now, you know, because when you dive into the problems, you really see like super bad things that I cannot tell to you now from the reasons that I mentioned at the beginning, you know. So in order to stay sane, you have to find a way to kind of help yourself, and that's by using humor, you know, to be creative on one side, which is also kind of triggering for people, but on the other side, we're really digging and reading and thinking and proposing, you know, serious stuff. So it has to be very serious and very concrete. It cannot just stay on the level of, okay, we are against, boo. I mean, I'm also, that's not my drive, you know. I have to, I'm always trying to figure out what can be done, you know, like what is our proposal, what is an alternative, how we can reach that alternative, what are the institutions, what are the laws. I mean, these things like squatting is not, it's not legal, you know that. But for me, it's completely legit. So what's the problem? You know, which we should change the law then. That's the thing.
I like this attitude. So what is the problem? No, I really, I want someone to reflect also on the EASA that will happen in Kragujevac this year. So basically, for some of you who weren't there yesterday, we are proposing 3 scenarios for the event that we plan for all of them to happen simultaneously. First of them is a residency, actually, EASA event in Kragujevac that will take, it will take part, okay, in summer, 2 weeks, but a reduced amount of people, like let's say about 150 people, or amount that the law will allow us to host. Most of the time, this event is like in a scale of 500 people, even more. And then next to that, we are going to have like all residencies around Europe, and every country and every national team will have this freedom to reflect on the topic of reality in their own surroundings, yeah, basically. And we will somehow support all of those gatherings through Europe by sending out some, for now, we call it a sort of a toolkit, but it's a work in progress. So we're going to see what is it going to be, but it's going to be something that will sort of try to unify this event and hold us under this, you know, hold the community together, sort of. And the third thing is going to be this sort of online platform where we will, you know, like update people on progress in every location and so on. Basically, this whole, you know, claiming the space that you are doing for your, you know, like whole career, like super impressive, but you know that already. But that's a similar thought that we started like to think when we were firstly proposing for EASA. Like we were searching for, you know, like we have so many problems in Serbia, obviously, like not only in our country, in different countries. But there was this attitude on our side that we were like, okay, let's see somewhere, some problem where there is some potential also, you know, where there is something positive, where there are some people who or happenings or anything that can just, you know, be our partner in crime or whatsoever. We came across Kragujevac, we came across Arsenal. It's an empty military complex. I mean, empty, abandoned, basically. And it is also sort of used, like it's squatted sometimes by some festivals, by some, you know, like.
But it functions as a park. Just it's not officially like it's open to the public, and it's a public space, and it functions like that. But some people are just like maybe overusing it in other ways, and the building itself is really demolished.
Yeah,
that building is fantastic. I love that building.
Yeah, it has also, I mean, what even means high architecture value, but it's a very nice design. But like one part is completely demolished, and it's, you know, it's heritage, it's important. It's like in the center of the city. That's the most bizarre thing, you know, the whole industrial complex just there. And I don't know, basically, it was very inspiring to see like in what way you were like claiming some spaces. I'm not saying that we want to 100% claim Arsenal, but we believe that EASA is somehow throwing the light on things, you know, just like being this catalysator, like catalyzing some processes, you know, maybe later encouraging also local folk to, you know, to do something further with that, with all of this space, you know. Because as we all know, okay, EASA is somehow is temporary event. It's like 2 weeks long. What can we do for that time? But also we have all of this time before, like we can prepare like some actions. We can also, you know, prolong this whole 2 weeks into the next year. So yeah, and I just wanted to reflect on the event and connect it somehow to the topic of yours.
Now, I think that space is amazing. We were there for the first time in 2013, I think. And we came with the idea to work with the people who are interested to use the building, but somehow they're all in fight, you know. And I mean, I never saw, nobody speaks to each other, you know. And they're having and that's the problem. Everyone wants the space for him or themselves, you know. Like, why do you need 12,000 square meters? You know, it's huge. Just share it with someone, and you don't need it all the time. You know, just figure out the model on how you can all work together. And then, of course, there is a huge distrust between the government and citizens. And I mean, it's just like ongoing problem. My approach would be to invest myself into community building first, like to try to engage as much people as possible from the very beginning of the process, so they also can claim ownership. That's important, because if you do everything by yourself and then you invite them for the final event, they're just guests. But if they're there with you, like cleaning the space from the beginning, preparing food for others, getting to know each other, and collective cooking is a really great tool for these things. They start to feel like, you know, you get in love with that, with the building, with the sense of belonging to a particular community. So it really changed the mindset of the people, and that's how you keep them there.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah. Yeah, that's what we're gonna do.
Does anyone have any more questions or comments?
Maybe one quick question.
Mauro?
Francesca, are you okay with that?
I think.
Hello, Pavle.
Pavle, ciao.
And,
I have a question also, but after
Mauro.
Thanks. Hi, Iva, and thanks for the great lecture, especially for the inspiration for some actions when defending urban commons. I have two questions, actually. One is regarding the housing. Seeing from the Zagreb perspective as well, in cities when you have lack of housing, and then there is this kind of contrast when you fight these neoliberal projects which are exploiting space, especially these neighborhoods which are already built, but then there is a lack of housing. And then how do you mediate this? Because you're basically fighting for quality urbanism, but at the same time, there is no other than private investors into housing. And the second one is this subversive urbanism, basically, that as you are doing and many other practices also here, is kind of this parallel state office of urbanism, basically. So we are fighting for some kind of a quality or human-oriented urbanism. And how do you see, how can this be implemented? Or is it only through changing the politics and political figures, or are there some other ways as well?
Oh, thank you. Two really serious questions. Okay, how to start with housing? Well, what we propose is a model of housing which is based on the cooperatives. And Anne and Mark will really tell you, I mean, I guess they will speak about that because they are super involved. That's like their life project. And we did research and published a kind of a policy. What are the concrete steps that the city and the state have to do in order to create a model which is non-profit and which is affordable for the people. The current situation in Belgrade is that 99%, 98, 99% of the housing stock is privately owned. And to make a parallel, and we have like 4,500 flats that are publicly owned. I mean, Vienna has 200,000, 250,000, something like that. Zurich has less than 10% privately owned households, you know. So, I mean, we did it during the 90s as all ex-Yugoslav countries in order to privatize the housing stock and then have money to start killing each other. So just to know that we're all involved and responsible for that. So that's kind of the starting point, which is very bad, you know. So what the Smarter Building and Mark are doing, they're creating, they're prototyping on one concrete example. And what we are trying is to create a policy. So we really put a lot of our knowledge and effort in the last 3 or 4 years to figure out the models. And we were invited by the city of Belgrade, believe it or not, last year to write a proposal for the housing strategy. No, it was 2019. Sorry, 2020 doesn't exist in my life, obviously. So in 2019, we did it. So, and it was adopted. It was adopted, and it's now in the official strategy of Belgrade, strategy for housing. The bad thing is that nobody reads strategy and they don't have power as a law. So maybe that's the reason why they invited us. And also, you know, we did a free job instead of them. But what I want to say, there are some kind of, you know, some kind of progress. We also, a few months ago, established a new platform for housing justice, where different housing movements are involved. So Anne and Mark as well, then the Roof, the anti-eviction movement from Belgrade, and also some other actors. So there's kind of, we are heading somewhere. And for the subversive urbanism, you know, it's really discouraging when the people who are under any kind of threats are seeing us, like 5 of us, as the only help they can receive. So we, in our office, besides of like helping people with the different urban plans, literally people from the streets are coming to help them when the investor is attacking their property, you know, but by jeopardizing the family, the grounds of the foundation of their houses. You know, people get evicted, stuff like that, and you don't have a power. I mean, that's the whole system is you are fighting against the whole system. You know, we cannot help in these particular cases. I mean, we can do some kind of advices, but that's, I mean, those are our limits, you know, those are our capacities. So also the reason why we want to have this house is to gather all these people, you know, so they have a space where they can come, where we can also bring we can have partners as, which are lawyers there to use a space, you know, to create something that is kind of much stronger than this. I would be super happy to have this kind of help desk in the Urbanistic Institute of Belgrade, you know, or in some institution which will really work for the interest of citizens and not for the interest of those who are belonging to the 1% of the rich people.
Okay, guys, we need to stop here. It's already like 6:10. Maybe have a short break for 5 minutes and come back at 6:15. I mean, you can stay here and chat.
Yeah.
Just to let you know that in 5 minutes we'll announce Francesco and we will go on. Yeah. And if you want, you can stay here like after 8 and join us in the bar and have some chats.
Avera, just a moment. Pablo asked for a question.
Yes, but we are like.
We can do it in this 5 minutes.
But it's like now. Toilet break for 5 minutes. Pablo can ask a question, of course, but then we really need to move on since we have 2 more lectures today, and just in order to respect.
No, it's fine. Never mind. I just wanted. Yeah.
No.
What's happening now with the next film, Iva?
Hey, Nishta, it's abandoned.
So it's completely abandoned. No one's actually.
No one. The owner tried to negotiate with those people who build this kind of housing block on the top of the hill, and then it didn't work. So he negotiated with the shopping mall to kind of extend it. It also didn't work. So I don't know what's going on.
Okay, I was curious about that. And thanks for the lecture. It was a roller coaster. Yeah. Ciao.
In every slide I was like, this looks like EASA. Okay, this can be EASA too. Nice, thank you very much.